Good afternoon, everybody. I've got another video for you today where I'm not going to actually show you how I made these cards. I'm going to show you how I did something else with the same set. But I loved this set when it came out from Concord and Ninth. It's called Plain Amazing. So you get a set of dies and a coordinating stamp on a travel theme. And I've made a couple of cards today because I've got two friends who are about to head off to Italy for a month. So I thought this would be the perfect card to send them to make a card to send to them. So I've got both cards here, and one with the windows up and one with the windows down. So you can see this is a sliding mechanism. So the stamp gives you little cloudy scenes and starry scenes that you can put in, you can stamp into the windows, but I've gone really straightforward and I've just used different coloured cards, so I'm making up the Italian flag. So it's the same in both cards when you slide the little windows up. And it's a really clever and easy mechanism. If you're put off by interactive cards, then don't be, because Concord and Ninth have made it super easy. So all you need to create the windows are these two pieces. So you need this die here and this die here, and then this little piece here will make you lots of handles that you can stack up, so that once they're nice and thick, that gives you something to grab hold of to do the sliding. Okay, so once you've die cut them, so for me mine was really simple because all I did was cut the three different pieces like this from the green, the white and the red card to make the flag. You cut your other piece and you score along the lines, and they've even told you where to put glue, or tape, as I've used here. I found tape to be easier for this technique. So once you've die cut your piece, you just pull the tape off the back, and then you simply fold that around your piece, and once you've got your handle on, then this will slide up and down, and as you glue that part and that part behind your window on your cards, you use the score lines, sorry, get this on the right bit of the camera, use the score lines here to line up the corners of the windows, and then you just glue it down. It's as simple as that. But what I wanted to show you was with the die set as well, you get these 4 larger windows. So this will make you a much larger aeroplane, so you've got one central window on your card. Unfortunately, they didn't give you the fold around die to make it interactive. They've given you just this one piece that sits in the window, so that it looks like there's just a little bit of window slider sticking out. My brain's not working today. But I really wanted to have a sliding mechanism on my large card as well. So I thought I would have a go at hacking the die set and seeing if I could create one myself, which I've done. So what I have is essentially the same thing. So I've made my own version using the dies. So I'm going to show you how I did that, and then we'll put this together. So I've just used 3 of the windows, the dies here, to create the window. So the idea is that you get some depth, because aeroplane windows are quite deep and thick, so they don't crack, I guess. So they've given you the 4 sizes of oval dies to create that depth. I've just used 3 of them. So I'm making a 7x5 card. So I've got my base card ready to go, and then I've just cut 3 layers of card, 2 from white and 1 from grey in the middle, using the 3 largest of the dies. I've ignored the very small one. And then once these are layered up, this will be my aeroplane window. And then we'll slide the window into place. So once this is all screwed down, then we're going to be able to do exactly the same thing, and we're going to be able to reveal the sentiment on my card. So the only thing that you need to learn how to do is to create this piece. So I've done some measuring for you. So all I've done is taken a piece of grey card, the same shade as my inner, my middle layer of cardstock, and I have measured 7 inches across and 3.5 inches deep. I'm doing it on a 7x5 card because you need you'll need your sentiment piece or your image to be 7 inches because you need space for the window to slide up and down, and that's also why I've put my window towards the bottom of my card. So on my first layer I've gone 2 centimetres or just 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the card, so that you've got enough room for the window to slide and hide behind your cardstock. So as I said, you want to measure 7 inches across, 3.5 wide, and then your sliding portion needs to be 3 inches in the middle. So I've measured 1.5 inches from one side, then I've measured my 3 inches, and then I've got the remaining 2.5 inches at that side, and that will become obvious why in a moment. And what I've done at the 1.5 inch line and the 4.5 inch line, I've scored just using my ruler and a dry embossing tool. So I've just scored some simple straight lines, and then we're going to fold those down. And then once I've folded them, I'm actually going to reverse it so that my pencil marks that I've drawn are on the inside. And then we've got a folded over area here. And I'm just going to use some double-sided tape and just put one layer here onto the card. And then once I've folded that over, stick it down. And then this is going to be our sliding portion. So your piece of card for to put your sentiment on wants to be just 1/8. I think is that how you describe it? 1/8 of an inch. So let's do it in see if we can do it in centimeters. So it's 7.5 centimeters, or I'm not very good at measuring in inches. 1 mark short of 3 inches if you're going to measure it in inches, so that you've got some sliding room, because you don't want it to be too snug. It wants to slide really freely, so that's how your mechanism works. Okay, so once we've done that part, then we need to create the shape. So all I did here was I get my die cut machine. So then I'm just going to do partial die cutting. So I'm going to use the largest of the window dies, and I'm literally just going to put it centrally. So this needs to be a bit more scored. You can tape this on if you want to be sure that you're going to be all nice and straight, but for the purposes here, I'm just going to wing it as usual. And then we're going to slide our cutting plate in so that we're only cutting just the very edge. So you can see that my cutting plates are overhanging, so I'm not going to cut all the way up. So I'm just going to go through and then bring it back so that it cuts through the 2 layers. So you see we've now got our curved edge, and then I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut a straight line into where the die cutting stopped, and a little snip around the corner if required, just to get it free. And so now we've got our sliding window mechanism. So now this looks like our first one. So the only difference I would do now is I would use, this is the little die piece that you use for the handle on these ones. So it's a bigger handle. So I've die cut that again from offcuts of this card. I've stacked 4 on top of each other, and I've glued these together with wet glue and really given it a few minutes to dry so that it's a nice solid handle. And then I can get rid of the cut machine again. And so then it's just a case now of layering our card up. So we'll slide the slider on from behind, and then we just need a piece of tape. If you can see that, I'm putting it across the top of my stamped piece. So to create my sentiment, this is actually going to be a card for our postman, because he's leaving us to go on to a new route next week. So I thought You're Plain Amazing was a good one, because he likes his holidays. So all I've done is shaded my card in an ombre sunset style using 3 shades of oxide inks, and then I've stamped the sentiment in black on top. So once that's in, I've secured that to the bottom of the card already just with a single piece of tape, and now I'm going to do the same again, making sure it's all square. And so now that's in place, so that's our base layer, and we've got our slidey window that goes so far because it stops at the top of the tape, and it can't go too far down either because of the tape at the bottom. So that's our window. And then I'm going to apply my middle layer. So again, I'm just going to use a couple of bits of tape. And then wind up to, when I was die cutting these layers, by the way, I did this in reverse. So I started with this layer, and then I put my grey card underneath, and then just popped my next die cut down, and then removed my white layer, and then ran my grey card through the die cut machines. That's an easy way to make sure that you're getting things relatively square, although I think I just stuck it down a bit wonky, but hey ho. Such is life when I do things live on camera. We'll neaten it up with our next layer. So then I'm just going to do the same again. I'm going to put my top layer on. Again, just with a couple of bits of double-sided tape. You could go around all 4 sides if you wanted to. And then all I'm going to do is line that up. And there we go, and then that's ready to go onto my base card, and we've got our jumbo sized window. So again, the measurements for that were 7 inches long with 3.5 inches high, and then you've got enough room on a 7x5 card, and you just need to score at you need essentially an overlap with 3 centimeters in the 3 inches in the middle. So I did my score lines at 1.5 inches and 4.5 inches, and then that folds it around to give you your window blind. Okay, hope that was a useful hack and gives you more ways to get even more designs out of this really fantastic Stampin' Die set. Okay, thanks very much. Bye.